Communications Incorporated. Good evening, a pleasant welcome to this evening news basket. 45 minutes news presentation from Liberia and across the group. Today is Tuesday, 7 February 2023, and my name is Alexander Yinek anchoring tonight's presentation. Headlines of stories we carry this evening. Internal Affairs Minister Vani Salif calls for an end to illegal entry and settlement of undocumented aliens in bordering communities along the Ivorian-Liberian borders. Dover County Senator Steve Zago alarms that Liberia runs the risks as a country if the armed forces of Liberia does not recruit disadvantaged youth into its infantry units. National Elections Commission launches biometric voters registration, discloses March 20th and May 11, 2023 as the timetable for the voters registration. And away from Hun, Russia's African footprint grows with Lavrov trip to Mali, as Russia's foreign minister promises continued military support for Mali, which has been battling a jihadist insurgency since 2012. That's according to the BBC. The details of these, including the bulletin, foreign development, voices behind the news spokes, are all packaged in tonight's presentation of Freedom Evening News Basket, and is partly sponsored by Crown Stoppers Liberia. It's been relayed on Radio Heart Winnipeg District, Grand Cape County. First, the news bulletin with Hagar Gonda. Good evening, Hagar.
Good evening to you, Alex, and as well to our audience. Internal Affairs Minister Vani Salif has stressed the need for a concerted effort to end the illegal entry and settlement of undocumented aliens believed to be Burkinabes in bordering communities along the Ivorian-Liberian border. There has been conflicts of illicit mining, logging, farming, and other commercial activities, including possession of land on the Liberian side of the border in Grand Juda and Maryland counties and other communities. Minister Salif made the assertion during the opening of a one-day contact meeting held at the Ministry of Internal Affairs in Monrovia, which was held among Liberian institutions involved with border management and Ivorian counterparts. According to a Ministry of Internal Affairs release, the contact meeting was intended to develop a strategic and operational plan related to land and maritime borders between the two countries, taking into consideration allegations of illegal mining, maritime piracy, deforestation, destruction of cross-border diversity, and conflict over cross-border waterways, among others. Minister Salif recounting the roles of former President William V. S. Tubman of Liberia and the former President Felix Harpert Bonnet of Cote d'Ivoire during the establishment of the Mano River Union, stressed the imperative both countries had to assist each other in maintaining harmony and coexistence in bordering communities. For his part, Christian Jala, resident coordinator of Minor River Union in Liberia, said the idea of securing borders is critical to all nations in the Mano River region. He intimated that peace and security is a major pillar of MRU, and as such, without peace and security, economic integration among countries in the region would be impossible. Also speaking during the meeting, Konati Diakida, Executive Secretary of the National Border Commission of Ivory Coast and head of delegation, said his country's National Border Commission has been working with Ghana, Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso since the establishment. He added that they are currently working with partners to build capacity and strengthening relationships to enhance safe land and marine borders. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Veteran Affairs has observed that Liberia ranks the race as a country if the armed forces of Liberia does not make efforts aimed at recruiting some of the disadvantaged youths in its infantry units. Senator Steve Zago made it clear that the number of disadvantaged youths has increased dramatically, more than combined numerical strength of the Liberian National Police and the Armed Forces of Liberia. Senator Zago made the observation when he delivered the keynote speech at the 66th Armed Forces Day Symposium organized by the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia in Monrovia Tuesday. According to him, these disadvantaged youths have the propensity of creating chaos whenever there is a breakdown of law and order in the country. For his part, the Deputy Defense Minister for Administration, Tibla Dixon, described the reduction in the budget allocated to the armed forces of Liberia in this year's proposed national budget. He said the Liberian army is currently engaged in civil military activities such as the construction of bridges, roads, and rendering medication to the public. The symposium under the theme fostering effective stakeholders' engagement for sustainable democracy was graced by officers of the Liberia National Police, the Liberia National Fire and Rescue Service, the Liberia Seaport Police, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, and the Liberia Immigration Service. The National Elections Commission is said to be reviewing the regulations and guidelines on pre-campaigning by political parties, coalition, collaboration, and independent candidates in this year's presidential and legislative elections. NEC chairperson David Eto Brown Lasana said, as soon as the reviewing of the regulations and guidelines on pre-campaigning is completed, it will be released to the public. Speaking at the launching of the biometric voter registration in Monrovia, Madam Lasana directed that all political parties, coalition, collaboration, and independent candidates must reserve their campaigns from August 5 to October 8 for this year's presidential and legislative election. According to Madam Lasana, the political department of NEC is currently developing the new regulations and penalties that will be associated with the offense. Meanwhile, the head of European Union delegation to Liberia, Ambassador Laurent Delahouse, pledged the European Union support to the National Elections Commission for the conduct of a free, fair, transparent, and democratic election comes October of this year. He at the same time appealed to political parties to campaign in the confines of the law, whereas citizens should do everything humanly possible for the conduct of a peaceful elections. However, the president of the Liberian Marketing Association, Elizabeth Sambula, is urging all marketers to take advantage of the biometric voter registration process by coming out to register as everyone has the right to vote. In another development, the chairperson of the National Elections Commission Tuesday appeared before the plenary of the House of Representatives to explain about the biometric voter registration timetable process. Plenary took the decision Thursday, February 2, following a communication from the National Elections Commission to that August body saying eligible Liberians 18 years and above are expected to participate in the voters registration process beginning 20th March to 11th May 2023. Speaking before members of the House of Representatives Tuesday, NEC Chairperson David Eto Brown Lasana disclosed that the Commission is fully prepared to kickstart the biometric voter registration exercise in March of this year, despite the low budgetary allotment to the electoral body. The NEC boasts further that the new biometric voter registration system has a unique human physical characteristics such as fingerprint and physical recognition, among others. The Commission warned that double or multiple registration is a crime punishable by law, as registered voters will be prevented from voting twice, as the biometric system will capture will be violators marching their fingers. The NEC boss disclosed that the institution is carrying out assessment at voter registration centers across the country to ascertain if there is or will be an increment in the voters registration centers. The NEC boss, however, disclosed that the process will be done in two phases, which phase one includes Ban, Bapulu, Grand Bassa, Grand Cape Mount, Maigiri, and Montserrat counties, where registration begins on March 20th, 2023, and ends on April 9th, 2023. The electoral body said phase two will consider Bond, Grand Jide, Grand Cru, Lofa, Maryland, Nimba, River Cess, Grand that's River G, and Sino counties beginning April 21, 2023, and will end on May 11, 2023. The Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights Claims and Petition is expected to begin confirmation hearing for Solicitor General Designate Councilor Nyati Tuan. The committee, according to report, will commence at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, February 8 in the chambers of the Liberian Senate. It can be recalled President George Weah recently nominated Councilor Nyati Tuan as Solicitor General of the country, pending confirmation by the Liberian Senate. When confirmed by the Senate, he will replace former Solicitor General Councilor Serena Cephas, who resigned last year following a U.S. sanction placed on him and other officials of the Liberian government by the United States Treasury Department. Prior to his nomination, Councilor Tuan served as Deputy Minister for Codification at the Ministry of Justice and currently serving as Acting Solicitor General since the resignation of Councilor Serena Cephas late 2022. A political group under the banner District 4 Montserrado County Team Samuel Tengbe has endorsed Representative hopeful of the district Momo Kamara for the pending legislative and presidential elections of this year. Samuel Tengbe is the former representative candidate in the district who lost the 2017 election to the district current lawmaker Rosalind Denix. Speaking at the endorsement ceremony Thursday, Samuel Tengbe said his decision to support Tim Kamara is triggered by the lack of adequate representation in the 54th legislature and coupled with the lack of basic social needs for the ordinary citizens in the district. In reaction to the endorsement, Momo Kamara expressed dismay at the form a minor he was defeated during the 2017 polls, something he said is unfortunate. Kamara is, however, calling on residents of the district to join hands in finding a remedy to the situation taking place across District 4 Montserrado County. The House of Representatives has ordered the National Rule Fund and Attorney General of Liberia to appear before its plenary Thursday with their lawyer to give reason why they should not be held in contempt. This follows the failure of the Director General of the National Rule Fund to appear before the plenary of the House of Representatives without an excuse Tuesday after being served an invitation by that august body. It can be recalled Tuesday, January 31, the House of Representatives cited authorities of the National Rule Fund, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the Liberia Revenue Authority, and petroleum importers to provide updates on the remittance of levies on petroleum products collected or withheld by petroleum importers in keeping with the act that established the National Road Fund. The House took the decision during its fifth-day sitting based on a communication from Nimba County District 2 Representative Prince Tukpa, who said the National Road Fund established by an act of the legislature in 2006 was to ensure, among other things, that road assets are sustained and that sufficient road for both periodic and routine maintenance are allocated for purpose. He maintained that the National Road Fund is intended to ensure that national, subnational, and federal roads have sufficient share of the total fund, such as these roads, so that these roads can operate in the country. The Inspector General of the Liberian National Police is recommending an introduction of National Medical Award, that's Medal Award for officers who performed with distinction in the discharge of his or her duties. Colonel Patrick Suru said this award can be awarded on a day set aside to recognize the contribution of police officers in the maintenance of peace in the country. Speaking in an interview with that's newsman, Colonel Patrick Suru pointed out that the day can be referred to as Law Enforcement Day, but does not necessarily have to be a national holiday. According to him, this will eventually encourage men and women who are giving their use and time for the service of the law enforcement agency in the country. A group under the banner Movement for the Protection of Integrity in Liberia has described President Weah's just ended 1 million march as a commendable one. Reading a press statement Tuesday on behalf of the group, the executive director, Paul Badu, said the 1 million rally by President George Weah and the Coalition for Democratic Change is a pure manifestation of the Weah-led administration's surety to victory comes October 10 general elections. The MOPI chief also said that his group is optimistic of President Weah's first round victory in the upcoming elections. MOPI executive director further called on all those that are contemplating on violence to refrain from such, as Liberia is everyone's common denominator. Bondo, however, called on President Weah to not be deterred but focus on the Liberian people's work in which he was elected. Officers of the Liberia National Police are refusing to come to court to provide evidence from prosecuting lawyers in connection to Zone 5 Police Commander Dauda Sisse's criminal case at the Monrovia City Court. This followed a request for a raid of subpoena from prosecuting lawyers against some police investigators who compelled their appearance in court regarding the case. Prosecuting lawyers Tuesday told Magistrate Joma Jala that they were finding it difficult to get their witnesses to come to court and warned Magistrate Jala to help them with a raid of subpoena to compel the officers' appearance as provided by Chapter 17, Section 17.3 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia. But defense lawyer, Counsel Arthur Johnson, has rejected the prosecuting lawyer's request, saying the state cannot seek help from the court for its own witness testimony. Counsel Johnson said the only ultimate alternative for the state is to dismiss the action against the Zone 5 Police Commander Dauda Sisse or allow the court to do the right thing due to the delay of the matter, which has gone beyond 30 days period for litigation as provided by law. Well, that's it for the news bulletin. Alexander Yinikin is back to you for the continuation of the news program.
Hey, Gonda, with the news bulletin. He continues later on at later time for different developments. Well, we've just joined you, you're listening to Freedom Evening News Basket, 45 minutes presentation of news from Liberia and across the group. One of the top developments occurring, Internal Affairs Minister Van Salif calls for an end to illegal entry and settlement of undocumented aliens in bouldering communities along the Ivorian Liberian borders. Let's now bring you our first development. The National Elections Commission is said to be reviewing the regulations and guidelines on pre-campaigning by political parties, coalition, collaboration, and independent candidates in this year's presidential legislative elections. NEC chairperson David Eto Brown Lassanan said as soon as the review of the regulations and guidelines on pre-campaigning is completed, it will be released to the public. Speaking at the launching of the biometric voter registration in Monrovia, Madam Lassanan directed all political parties, coalition, collaboration, and independent candidates must reserve their campaigns from August 5 to October 8 for these presidential and legislative elections.
We have regulations that we are developing, and those regulations will come out to say what constitutes or what doesn't constitute pre-campaigning, what constitutes campaigning and what doesn't constitute pre-campaigning. So we say when we are done, we will again inform the Liberian people. One of the things that we will not do is, while we recognize, a lot of concerns in the public about what is going on or what they allege is going on or what they perceive or what they have seen going on, we do not want to act on emotions. This is why it is necessary to have in place the regulations which we are currently reviewing. And like we said in our speech, the sanctions that evolve from those activities will indeed, after we have, should I say investigation? I'm not sure I think that's a strong word, but in fact, we do have the political affairs section going around to gather information not just in Montserrat County, but also with the 19 magisterial offices to provide information on how political activities are being carried out in all of the counties. And once we get that information and we are concluded with the review of the regulations, then we'll come to the public and provide the necessary information. And this is why we say, meanwhile, we are calling on all political parties, aspirants, to abide by the rules, because we have announced that campaign time is from the 5th of August to the 8th of October. The commission is reviewing the regulations. We have drafts already, but we have to put in place the necessary requirement to be able to publish these rules and regulations. And once we have done that, then of course, but we said to you that the regulations that we have, they already spell out the sanctions. And we just need to get the kind of information that are necessary to effect these sanctions. The commission has regulations that it is reviewing, and that at which end we will make it known. Notwithstanding, we are saying to political parties that they should abide by and remain within the campaign period, which is the 5th of August to the 8th of October.
Also speaking at the launching ceremony, the head of European Union delegation to Liberia, Ambassador Laurent Delahousse, has pledged the European Union's support to the National Elections Commission for the conduct of a free, fair, transparent, and democratic election comes October of this year. He at the same time appealed to political parties to campaign in the confines of the law, whereas citizens should do everything humanly possible for the conduct of a peaceful election.
On behalf of the European Union, I just want to pledge our support to the National Elections Commission. I want to pledge our support to the people of Nigeria to do everything that is necessary to ensure peaceful elections. And I want to launch an appeal to the political parties to campaign according to the law, in respect of the peace, in respect of the quality of the political debates. So verbal debate, it has limitations that are put by your history as a democracy that you need to be proud of. Liberia is an example to Africa, and you all need to keep up with that example because you are watched by the rest of the world. This is your first election, general election, without international security support. It is a very important time for Liberia. And I must say that as members of the international community, not only are we with you to support you in this effort, in this endeavor, but we also trust that everything will go well, because we feel that the democracy in Nigeria has reached a point where peace is essential, where free and fair elections are what the people need, and the Commission, my message is a message of support and a message of confidence.
However, the president of the Liberia Marketing Association, Elizabeth Sambola, is urging all marketers to take advantage of the biometric voters registration process by coming out to register, as everyone has the right to vote.
I am so happy to be here today. This is quite a time for we to be called upon to be on the launching of this parliamentary election status. What we want to say is we are urging our marketers to go to come up the day of the election. The parliamentary we're talking about is not hard, it's not a long process. We in the marketing association, we have all political parties in the market. We are urging our marketers to come up and vote. We will go out to tell all marketers that everybody has the right to vote in this country. And our voting going to vote there is we have to turn up the day of the parliamentary taking our voter registration card. And every woman or man that is under the roof of the Marketing Association should come up and represent yourself out to register. And after the registration, we want a peaceful election.
Elizabeth Sambola is the president of the Liberia Marketing Association. Ella listened to a head of the European Union delegation to Liberia, Laurent Delahousse, and the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, Madam David Eto Brown Lassana. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Veteran Affairs was observed that Liberia runs the risk as a country if the armed forces of Liberia does not make efforts aimed at recruiting some of the disadvantaged youths into its infantry units. Senator Steve Zagon made it clear that the number of the disadvantaged youths has increased dramatically more than the combined numerical strength of the Liberian National Police and the armed forces of Liberia. I link these disadvantaged youths have the propensity of creating chaos whenever there is a breakdown of law and order in the country. Senator Zago made the observation when he delivered the keynote speech at the 66th Armed Forces Day Symposium organized by the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia in Monrovia on Tuesday.
As we foster effective stakeholder engagement for sustainable democracy, and I'm so glad with the composition of the invitees. Again, with that listening, youth leadership, and other things. The young people are peculiar to us. The young people constitute 60% of our population, plus or minus. The military, you need to be not only on paper at the military for good, but a military that we respect and see that you have no bias, you have no inclination that you are biased. You are one side. The young people can become adult, but you can maximize the young people. One of our political leaders said one of these days, we have a challenge with the young people, the restive youth. We call them Zogos. When the ship hit the fence, who do you look up to help to control the Zogos? When the ship hit the fence, it is the military going to call on. We will need, as a recipe, to solve the youth challenge in Liberia, we need a military involvement. Because the youth will overpower the law enforcement agencies if we don't control the youth. The bigger challenge is the youth sport. If the young people are not controlled, we don't have an effective military. They need a combatant to get all the young people off the street. Because recreational area where we can train many vocations and other things. So we have strong inclination, strong figure by the military. We train in, discipline them, put in the military. They don't necessarily have to be, they don't necessarily have to be an engineer. They can become our.
For his part, the Deputy Defense Minister for Administration, Tibble Dixon, declared the reduction in the budget allotted to the armed forces of Liberia in this year's proposed national budget. He said the Liberian Army is currently engaged in civil military activities such as the construction of bridges, roads, and rendering medication to the public.
We have the visual cycle every year when we come for symposium. We get that commitment from our leaders in the Senate, in the legislature, that they will demonstrate their commitments, that they say in what they say, in terms of making sure that the armed forces have necessary support in terms of funding in order to execute its mandate. That has been a serious challenge for us. As I'm speaking, personally, the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Staff, they are absent from this symposium because they are on the road dealing with our budget, the budget year. On funding for us, we have a reduced proposed budget right now. Our budget has been reduced. So again, I hope the Senator would have taken notice of that and work to act upon that. Because we have so many demands on our security forces, our security agencies, and we need to invest in that. Okay? Those are some of the issues we have. In terms of engaging with our stakeholders on this journey, civil military engagement.
He's the Deputy Defense Minister for Administration, Tibble Dixon. Ellen listened to Lofa County Senator Steve Zago, who's the chair on the Senate's Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Veteran Affairs. Well, folks, at this point, we join Thomas Kojo-Rola for the latest in the world of sports. Kojo Rora with the latest in the water sports. We continue with more development this evening on this presentation. The Inspector General of the Liberia National Police, Colonel Patrick Sulu, is recommending an introduction of the National Medal Awards for officers who performed with distinction in their discharge of their duties. Colonel Patrick Sulu said this award can be awarded on a day set aside to recognize the contribution of police officers in the maintenance of peace in the country. Speaking in an interview with newsmen, Colonel Sulu pointed out that the day can be referred to as Law Enforcement Day, but does not necessarily have to be a national holiday.
People are being awarded medals, people are being awarded certificates. And what it does, it bring a kind of strength to the force, and you'll find out that everybody want to exhibit that good conduct so they can be awarded on that day. So if you have that done to the paramilitary, you'll find out that those kind of men and women in the paramilitary want to be at their best so as to be awarded on that day. That will boost the morale of the entire paramilitary. This could be a working holiday, not a national holiday. How you feel over the years, you can only recognize one group of people, the AFL, you cannot recognize the paramilitary. It's demeaning. So there's a need to recognize the paramilitary because the day-to-day work of this country is carried on by the paramilitary. The emphasis will be a very good one as usual. And I like what they're doing. It's not only the day they are looking at, but a series of events follow before the day, which is very good.
He's the Inspector General of the Liberia National Police, Colonel Patrick Sulu. A group under the banner Movement for the Protection of Integrity in Liberia has described President Weah's just ended 1 million march as an enthusiasm and commendable. Reading a press statement Tuesday on behalf of the group, the Executive Director Paul Bodo said the 1 million rally by President George Weah and the Coalition for Democratic Change is a pure manifestation of the Weah-led administration's authority to victory comes October 10 general election. The MOPI chief also said that his group is optimistic of President Weah's first-round victory in the upcoming election.
We have come here this morning to commend President Dr. George Manneh Weah for the enthusiastic 1 million man march just held within all parts of the country. The 1 million man march is a pure manifestation of President Weah and the CDC-led government's surety to victory come October 10 legislative and presidential elections. We are also optimistic that President Weah's first-round victory in the October 10 election is certain. The movement for the protection of integrity is also calling on those who are contemplating on violence to refrain from such, as Liberia is our common denominator. The movement is meanwhile also calling on President Dr. George Manneh Weah to not be deterred, but focus on to do the Liberian people's work.
Paul Bodo is the Executive Director of the group Movement for the Protection of Integrity in Liberia. Monserralo District 1 Representative Aspirant Maurice Bobby says the road to presidency begins with the legislature. As such, he is willing to work with residents of the district for inclusive development. Speaking Monday when he donated several building materials for the construction of latrines of the Rivals Village Public School, Bobby explained that he and his team will do everything possible to build a road from Fender to Central Louisiana before the October 2023 elections. He was followed by the citizens of the township who assured him of their support in the 2023 presidential legislative elections.
We are grateful to be here again, people of Rabbaville. Our commitment still stands. These are the planks told you about in different dimensions, 2x2, 2x4. So, honorable clerk, this township, we say thank you again. We are all one. We avail ourselves every time you call. We are going to make sure that Rabbaville is connected to Fender. Plans are on the way. Sooner or later, you will see the machine coming. Maybe mother is from here. I am from here. Anything I do here, I'm not doing it for my mother. I'm doing it for the district. I'm doing it for the. It is not because of politics. We are coming to the district. You've been seen or you've been seen or our handmarks are in the district. My uncle Uncle Martin Davis, he ran before, and we know what he did here. Hand pump, all stuff, town hall, we all build them here. Schools, build them in the district. But today we have come back to double all of what we did before, so you can get your people. What we need from you is for you to brush the road, so when the machine comes, able to pass, so that we don't have problem connecting this township to that of the other township. So if we continue to do this for our people, then I know we stand a better chance to lead Liberia tomorrow. Not even the district. We are going to be the representative of district number 1.
And you, my son, if you have come and don't have done, show us love and sincerity of this town, that you show us that this is your home, this is your town. Oh, my son, I don't have. And then God, heaven is our only judge, and let Him cover you up with the blood of Jesus. Anything that you think about, that you want to put your hand in good, let God do it. Thank God for what you have done for us.
And I am an instructor of the school of which he brought these items. I want to say thank you for your kind gesture, and we highly appreciate your gesture giving us. And we pray that whatsoever, as my elder said, that is ongoing will be fruitful.
On behalf of the township of Wetlands and that of the Rouse Public School, let me speak to my people with that open heart to clear. What he have done, it just requires battlecraft, but it requires something to go beyond battlecraft. You are connected to Ningesan, you are connected to Moringa, you are connected to Konesan, you are connected to Tongamu, New Kalastan, and Jalo, and other places. I believe with what he has started with Inra, now time that we get our friends, our family, our sisters, our brothers connected. So we want to say to you, son has laid for his hand in this district that he want to contest, and we can move our hands from us and pull it in from someone else. So honorable, I show you that don't just look at Hassan, but we will go beyond Hassan.
The residents of the township of Louisiana, they are speaking. Ella listened to Maurice Babe, Monserrato District 1 representative as parent, also speaking with the people of Louisiana on Monday. Well, we rejoin Hagar Gonda for the foreign development.
Russian foreign
Foreign news. Well, folks, he's taking us home on tonight's presentation of Freedom Living News Basket. But just before to leave a view, headlines of stories we carry this evening. Internal Affairs Minister Van Salif calls for an end to illegal entry and settlement of undocumented aliens in bordering communities along the Ivorian and Liberian borders. Lofa County Senator Steve Zago alarms that Liberia runs the risks as a country if the armed forces of Liberia does not recruit disadvantaged youth into its infantry units. National Elections Commission launches biometric voters registration, discloses March 20th and May 11, 2023 as the timetable for the voters registration. In away from home, Russia's African footprint grows with Lavrov trip to Mali as Russia's foreign minister promises continued military support for Mali, which has been battling a jihadist insurgency since 2012. Love to say many thanks to our reporters, editors, correspondents, and for those who helped to make this presentation a success. Hagar Gunner Brothers, the news bulletin, and the foreign development. Thomas Kojorola brought us the latest in the world of spokes. My name is Alexander Yaneka, presented on behalf of the news team. Have a wonderful Tuesday evening.